are you flying to today?
Disneyland!
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're counting down British double acts who can't stand each other. We're looking at double acts and famous duos who hate each other, and we're including double acts who have since reconciled. They just have to have gone through a period of hatred.
One sweep in the corner. Oh my god, oh no!
Number 10. James Corden and Matt Horn. While they've reunited for Gavin and Stacey's 2019 and 2024 specials, there were years when Corden and Horn weren't speaking.
How many Nurofen would I need to finish me off?
You? You'd need hundreds.
I can't afford that, can I? Not if I'm going to have an holiday this year.
They became a popular duo in the 2000s, hosting award ceremonies, starring in their own sketch show, and even fronting the critically panned horror comedy Lesbian Vampire Killers.
I don't know. All I'm saying is there's some graffiti on a toilet brush in the men's cubicle at the Rose and Crown, which I reckon is aimed at me.
What's it say?
Smithy was here.
But eventually, they went their separate ways, with Corden heading to the States for years. The pair have, in recent years, denied that there was any kind of feud, but their professional partnership came to an end regardless, and it still speaks volumes that Horn refused to be interviewed for Corden's episode of Life Stories.
We asked him to take part in this programme.
Right.
And he chose not to.
I didn't know that.
Number 9. Eamonn Holmes and Ruth Langford.
The quality that I would be looking at more than anything else in a partner is someone who's nice.
For decades, married presenters Eamonn Holmes and Ruth Langford were daytime TV royalty. But then Holmes went and made some comments about how the science wasn't in yet on whether 5G caused COVID, and the two ultimately got the boot from This Morning, though Langford stayed on Loose Women.
But what I don't accept is mainstream media immediately slapping that down as not true when they don't know it's not true.
Holmes pivoted to GB News, but behind the scenes has suffered myriad health problems. In 2024, they announced that they were divorcing. It's not clear exactly why. Some have suggested Holmes was talking to other women. Others have said that Ruth doesn't want to be his carer, but the tabloids have been plaguing them, with Ruth allegedly reduced to tears after fake rumours swirled that Holmes had gotten engaged.
Just before we move on, I'd just like to thank people for your support for Ruth and I over the last few days as to the news of our separation.
Number 8. Peter Kay and Dave Spiky.
I've sorted all this out, right? Just relax, or you're twisting me melon, man. Everyone knows what they're doing, everything's gonna be alright.
It looks like they've buried the hatchet now, but for over a decade, there was bad blood between Peter Kay and his Phoenix Nights co-creator, co-writer and co-star, Dave Spiky. It all stemmed from a Writers Guild of Great Britain nomination, in which only Kay was nominated. Spiky and fellow co-writer Neil Fitzmaurice didn't get a nod, and this crediting issue drove a rift between them.
Please, God, tell me that's not a condom machine.
Was a condom machine? No, it does penny shoes, 10 pence a piece.
Spiky thought that Kay taking all the credit didn't do him and Fitzmaurice justice, as they were also credited as writers on the show itself. In 2011, it emerged that they'd reconciled because a Phoenix Nights film was in the works, but that never materialised.
Look at this lot though, I've not seen in this excited since they printed that paedophile's address in paper. No.
Number 7. Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby.
Right, deep breath. Firstly, are you okay? I hope so.
Another daytime duo, they were, of course, never married, but still had a fallout for the ages. After it finally emerged that all those rumours were true and Schofield was carrying on with a younger man behind his wife's back, the Schofield-Willoughby rift was cemented.
Now, we can't start today's show without paying tribute to the man who spent the last 2 decades sitting on the This Morning sofa. Philip Schofield.
This came after months of speculation that things weren't all sunshine and roses behind the scenes, and Holly addressed the nation after Schofield's departure to publicly slate him for lying to everybody.
You, me, and all of us at This Morning gave our love and support to someone who was not telling the truth.
She's not the only ex-co-host Schofield has fallen out with either. Fern Britton and Amanda Holden also have problems with him. Number 6. Pete and Dud. They were hugely popular and influential comedians in the 60s and 70s, but weren't necessarily the best of friends backstage.
Nothing like a nice warm reptile house. Nothing like a nice warm reptile house. Nothing like it. Look at that.
Though they created popular sketches and enduring characters, things deteriorated when Peter Cook became more and more reliant on alcohol.
I'd like to be a poisonous snake, actually, Pete. Well, you've got, fangs and that. Fangs. You've got prominent teeth, haven't you, already? You do well.
They had very little to do with each other after a comedy adaptation of The Hound of the Baskervilles in 1978, though they did do a few fundraisers in the 80s and 90s. In 1995, Cook passed away as a result of complications from his alcoholism after spending his later years sticking to comedy, while Dudley Moore became a successful actor as well.
It's a joke, Pete. Was it? Oh, it's very bad taste.
Number 5. Matt Lucas and David Walliams. Another duo who have been able to overcome their feud in recent years is Matt Lucas and David Walliams, the pair behind Little Britain.
Did you pack the cases yourself?
Yes, we did. Unfortunately, we didn't receive any help from the Seven Dwarfs.
Despite being the country's top comedians in the 2000s, they fell out in 2011, with Lucas confessing in his autobiography that backstage, the rows never stopped. Things ultimately reached a point of no return, at least for a while, and they continued to trade barbs in books and the newspapers for years.
We both love Disney, don't we, Jeff?
It's all right.
We've actually bought a personal DVD player with us so we can watch the Aristocats on the fly.
But what was the thing that brought these two back together? Ironically enough, one of the most divisive issues in the country, Brexit. Yes, in 2019 they came back for a Brexit special of Little Britain and have been working together on and off ever since.
I shouldn't really like it because I am actually allergic to cats.
She comes out in a rash.
But luckily these are cartoon cats, so they never come out the screen.
Number 4. Tor and Son.
I've been working hard all day.
So have I, Dad.
Not as hard as I am.
Much of the appeal of Tor and Son was the never-ending conflict between Albert and Harold, but much of that conflict allegedly came from the real-life disdain Harry H. Corbett and Wilfred Bramble had for each other. Now, it's since come out that many of the stories about their dislike were exaggerated, and likely made the show even more popular, but the show did ultimately end because its stars outgrew it.
You big overgrown kid! That serves you right, you lazy little turd! Lazy? Me!
Corbett wanted to take on more roles with more meat on their bones, while Bramble started drinking more, and couldn't keep up on set. A few years after it ended, they went on a reunion tour, but this went disastrously. Despite regular rows, they continued appearing in short-lived revivals.
You dirty old man. It is you.
No, I can explain.
It is you! That is you in there!
Number 3. Kim Woodburn and Aggie McKenzie. The Queens of Clean took Britain's dirtiest homeowners to task back in the 2000s, but they were often butting heads.
This lady, she ain't no cleaner.
It can't be that bad, surely, can it?
Yes, 28 years worth.
28?
Oh,
my God.
The big problem was that Woodburn thrives on drama and conflict, as anyone who's seen her time on Big Brother will know, while McKenzie would prefer to avoid all that. They ended up appearing in a panto together, but tensions bubbled over.
Who does he think he is?
Well, Kim, I think we've got to rise to the bait, haven't we?
See all the muck in that kitchen.
Oh,
Did you see it?
Can't complete it. Come on.
This was 13 years ago, and they haven't spoken off camera since, and rarely on camera for that matter. Considering Woodburn seems to make lifelong enemies wherever she goes, it's hardly surprising.
I can't believe somebody watches that television. Just right filth there.
Number 2. Cannon and Ball.
You just said you'll get these. You walked in, he said I'll get these, and then he looks at me and asks for a quid. Well, I've got them, haven't I? Now pay them on. Cheers.
Tommy Cannon and Bobby Ball shot to fame in the 1970s after showing up on Opportunity Knocks, where many old-school comedians and double acts got their start. But while they maintained a close friendship up until Bobby Ball's death in 2020, for a few years the two went through a massive falling out.
Well, you'll not catch me like that again, Tom. I'll tell you that for nothing, because if you catch me, there'll be trouble.
This was in the 1980s, where, despite working together on huge productions and starring in frequent theatrical performances and pantomimes, they weren't speaking to each other whatsoever. By the 1990s, they patched things up, luckily, but there were many dark days in their long career.
Wait a minute, fella. I mean, that is my pint. I told him.
I'm terribly sorry.
It's all right.
My mistake.
Okay.
Is that yours?
No, that's nothing to do with me, Paul.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Number 1. Newman and Baddiel. The 1990s was a weird time for comedy, as a new wave of popular comics took the country by storm, becoming rock stars.
I do not look stupid. We do not look stupid.
Chief among them were Robert Newman and David Baddiel, the biggest comedians in the UK at the beginning of the decade. Many report that the two never really liked each other though, and their partnership only lasted for a few years before irreparably breaking down in one infamous live show at Wembley in 1993, in which they were barely on stage together.
Anyone seen Spitting Image recently? Crap, isn't it?
They were the first comedians to sell out the entire arena, but after the gig, the last on their nationwide tour, the two acrimoniously parted ways and never worked together again.
Even acquired a serving machine that fires 7 ping-pong balls at a time in my direction. I first met her in Bangkok.
Let us know in the comments who your favourite comedy double act is.
If I have one regret, it's that we just rushed those things. We rushed them.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.